What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Wellman's Podcast. My name is Bryan Brozy. I'm joined by my friend and co-host Keone Tita, and today we are also joined. He's responsible for a lot of F words in my workouts, a lot of sweat, a lot of grunts in my workout, and he is from Alberta, Canada. He is a physical therapist, and we have Keith Weber on the podcast. He opened up his own physiotherapy clinic in Alberta, Canada in 2001, and in 2002, Keith became one of the first Russian Kettlebell certified trainers in Canada and has since trained hundreds of people in using the use of kettlebell training. And he released a DVD in 2005, and he's been releasing subsequent DVDs since then. So thanks so much for joining us, Keith. How are you?
Yeah, thank you, Keith.
Oh, thank you, guys. Great. Nice Saturday morning here in Alberta. So.
Yeah, thanks for joining us early in the morning.
I know it's early for you, definitely.
I'm an early riser, so.
Okay. Every time we get that back, it's always very helpful. So, Keith, how did you, you're a physical therapist, so do you own your own clinic? How does that work?
Yeah, 3 years of practicing for somebody else. My wife and I, who's also a physio, decided to try it. We had a different way of doing physio that wasn't really compatible with where we were working, so we decided to take a chance and open up our own thing. So basically, so we could do it the way we wanted to do it. So
that's awesome.
A little bit more, takes a little more time, more hands-on, more old-fashioned approach. Whereas where we were working, it was a very busy place, send them through, give them exercises and move on to the next one. So
you're doing a lot more manual work on them is more or less what you're saying?
Work and acupuncture and all that type of stuff. And it takes more than 10 minutes. So
yeah, it's great.
1 hour at our clinic. So
that's awesome. Okay. And all right, so are you incorporating kettlebells into rehab? I'm very interested to hear how you're incorporating kettlebells into rehab and if you are able to.
You know, I wouldn't say specifically I am, honestly, because it's difficult to have the time. I would say I'm incorporating it into rehab in the sense that for somebody suitable that I'm working on, I'll suggest to them, hey, you should come try the beginner's class, and just, it might be something, a way, because I think it's a way of exercise. It's fantastic for everybody. Mm-hmm. And, there's certain people that will just say, no, I'm not interested in, but to actually get people to do kettlebells as part of their home exercise routine, it's just too time consuming to get them to do it correctly. And so what I hope is that eventually that they'll feel well enough and they'll ask me about the kettlebell class again.
So are those kettlebell classes, are those at the clinic, or is that, you do that?
Yeah, in the studio at the clinic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when you go into, and I've also kind of done group kettlebell classes, and those are tricky because you may have someone show up who's never just got off work, hasn't done a kettlebell class before, picks up a kettlebell for the first time at your class, or you have someone who's been coming for 6 straight weeks and they're an expert, and both of them are, they're an expert for the class, and both of them need a hard, well-designed workout for them. So what are some things that you kind of think about when just designing these overall kettlebell workouts for everyone?
Yeah, that's such a good, you know what? I teach, I have a friend that owns a hockey school. And so he asks me in the summer to come and do a few kettlebell classes and it's a goalie school. So these guys need flexibility and speed. And So kettlebells are perfect for them. But a lot of these kids they've seen kettlebells at the gym or whatever, but they've never used them. So yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, it is very difficult when someone's never done a kettlebell to just integrate them into the class immediately. So that's why that's why I was so excited to do my 4th video.
Okay.
When my knee kind of went the wrong way. And, but I will do it. I'm still going to do it because it really is a passion project for me. And I think I've figured out a way, and I think I figured out the exercises that I feel like are the most beneficial in terms of kettlebell training. And you can teach a complete beginner safely and have them do a workout that will get them a lot of value and benefit in about 45 minutes. So, yeah, because that's what I did at this hockey school. So it was one of those things where I just had to kind of like come up with something really quick. And I was like, oh, how am I going to do this? But it was based off kind of the workout that I've been doing the last couple of years myself, just to stay in shape to do my own videos. So.
Yeah. By the way, to stay in shape to do his own videos, the guy is on the beach just looking sleek and slender and abs popping out of everywhere. He's looking great on the beach in every one of these videos. It's awesome. So how often are you going back and doing your own DVD basically, or trying these workouts? I remember you talked about kind of using them as a measuring stick.
Yeah,
how often are you trying them?
I tried monthly, sort of like,
okay.
Time flies so quickly, and next thing you know, I haven't done my own video in 6 months. Oh my God, and am I still in good shape? Because to me, for the type of fitness I want, I think it's the best measuring stick for me personally. And I think what I want is what a lot of people want out of fitness. Like they want to be able to, at the drop of a hat, go do a bike trip, or so they can sit on a bike for 6 or 8 hours, or they want to be able to maybe do a half marathon, or maybe they want to do a Spartan race. I don't think, but there's certain people that they want to be able to bench press 500 pounds. So those people might not want to do the kettlebell videos, but I think for the everyman type person that just wants to be like super fit, I hope the videos have eliminated any excuse or impediment to that, because I feel like they do cover everything you need to basically, if you can do that first video with a 20 kilogram kettlebell without hitting pause, you should be able to go and do a Spartan race and do.
Yeah, absolutely. They're brutal.
And it is brutal, like cardio wise. It's that 10 rep range is just, it's very tough.
So what I'm hearing, Keith, is it allows you to have more functionality, right? I mean, in your movements and stuff like that. So you can take that and use it with any sport or any exercise regimen you like, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I would say for a non-skill based exercise regimen, like if you're a fencer, the kettlebell will help you, but I'm thinking about like what the average mom or dad that has little kids, or the average person, what they want to be able to do. I feel like it does prepare you really well for that kind of thing. It's when I made them, that wasn't my purpose. Like, oh, I want to make this so that I'm really good at everything. I wasn't, like the CrossFit premise of, being able to like be good under any domain. That wasn't sort of my purpose. I just wanted to make something really hard that people would like, because there was nothing out there kettlebell wise that was really hard.
Right.
And so I think in doing so, I accidentally created something that's just mostly it's the nature of the kettlebell exercises that it's almost, I feel like there's not a lot of holes with that video. Certainly the first video, I feel like there's not a lot of, maybe, I even threw push-ups in there. So I would say that even, the pushing movements, push-up type movement is still there. So I don't mean to be bragging about my video. I'm just excited about the whole concept of, I haven't done kettlebells in so long because of my knee. And I finally did a workout on Tuesday, and I went with 16 kilos, and I sort of did, it wasn't a very long workout. It was about 20 minutes. And it was like a lot of the stuff from my videos, but just half the reps, and still hurting. Like, it's crazy. And I've been lifting weights and going to the gym and keeping up the strength that I can, but I haven't actually done like a kettlebell routine. And it's just so potent, and there's just something about it that's so taxing and stressful on the body in a good way.
Yeah, right. It's invigorating.
I'm in love with them again, I think you can get the same effect with a dumbbell. Like, a lot of the exercises are the same. It's the sequence of the exercise, upper body, lower body, upper body, lower. Meanwhile, your core is getting so fatigued. But the kettlebell is just so darn convenient, I mean, a dumbbell is kind of awkward. You could get away with it, but I just think the way the kettlebell is, it just makes it so nice to just cradle in your hand there. Don't have to worry about it going anywhere.
I have kettlebells at my gym. And I was telling Bryan before we got on that one of the reasons why I was excited to talk to you about it is because for most part, I mean, the people don't really get instruction. You know, they see the kettlebells there. They may have seen some videos, or they'll see somebody in the gym doing it. And I, you know, most people are beginners. I would even say I am. I was saying the extent of my kettlebell usage is basically just a kettlebell swing. And with that movement alone, one injury that I've seen a lot, and again, there's not a lot of instruction there, is low back injuries. Do you have anything to add to that? Add to that? And how to avoid that?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and I have a rule that I don't give people advice at the gym. It's never good. Like, it's just, I love it when people do it to other people. I love watching it. I'm just like, oh, this is not going to go well.
Yeah.
I've seen people do silly stuff with kettlebell. I was at the gym with a friend last night. I usually work out at home, but it is fun to go out in public, and it's humbling, and it's kind of a fun thing to do for me. I try to make a point of it wherever we go. I try to hit the local small gym, and it's just fun. It's just my thing. Like the kettlebell stuff at the gym is, one thing I think a lot of, especially big guys, I'll see these big monstrous guys that are super strong, and they're using a kettlebell that's way too light. So they're not actually using it properly. So I'm not worried about them hurting themselves. I'm just thinking, you probably don't like kettlebells because you're not getting anything out of that. That's actually nothing. But I saw it in men's health. This sucks, right? So that's terrible, because that's a group of people that would really benefit from kettlebell training, because they hate cardio. Like, these guys don't want to go on treadmill unless they're competing or something like
right.
that. And then they'll walk treadmill for 3 hours on an empty stomach. But and then there's the ladies, or like just like the normal people that they're, a lot of them are going too light as well. And I saw a young lady doing swings last night that oh man, swings are another one where it's like there's that it seems like the new way to do swings is basically don't even bend your legs and like slam your head forward so quickly, like one of those birds that goes into the water and then it comes back up. It's just,
right.
I don't know if it's the right way either. Like, I don't think personally, I think of how I learned from Pavel, because he was the first guy I came across with kettlebells, and it was quite by accident.
Yeah.
And when I watch his old videos, I'm like, I think that's how I'm doing swing. And to me, it makes more sense, because it's that exact same squatting movement. You'd never do a squat. Like, it seems like the new way to do swings is to do like a good morning, where it's like, yeah. And I'm thinking, wow, like, it's just, I feel like I could do 1,000 swings like that, and maybe my low back would be safe, but it doesn't do it for me. I don't love it. I don't love that.
And it seems like it hurt your low back definitely over time, especially if you have too heavy weight.
Yeah.
Trying to do that.
So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I think a lot of people would be better off when I teach kettlebells, like when I'm doing a beginner's class, I'll always make sure I give the ladies, for the swings, I'll give them something a little bit heavier than they're comfortable with. And then what that forces them to do is like, oh, this is serious. And then it corrects that movement so quickly, because all of a sudden, especially the big guys, they can't do an anterior delt raise now.
Right.
And as soon as you switch to a one-arm swing, then it corrects it. And everyone in the gym typically does a two-arm swing, right? That's what
right.
So as soon as you take out that one arm from the equation, then you're like, oh my God, this is a weird movement. It doesn't feel right unless you do it properly. So it's not complicated of a movement. It really isn't. It's but it is done incorrectly, and I think mostly because people are going too light.
Yeah.
And I see that all the time. Even on the internet, I'm seeing these guys that I'm like, I think you're stronger than that. Like, to me, like with the first video, I just found the 20 kilogram weight for my fitness level at that time was it was challenging, but it wasn't killing me. Like, I would sometimes teach classes with a 24 kilo. And I think I was just beating the heck out of myself because my form was slipping, and but I was younger, and I was just trying to like be really cool and use this heavy to impress everybody. And then I found like the 20 kilograms is the perfect weight, because it still forces me at my weight. Like, I think I'm 165, 170 to like bear down and crunch my core in order to do these squats and all these other movements. I find with a 16, I can get away with being a little bit sloppy and kind of just not as tight.
Yeah.
But having said that, sometimes when I'm feeling really tired, I'll use the 16 and maybe I'll do 15 reps, or maybe I'll still stick with the 10 reps. I'm still getting an excellent workout, but I think for like the pure benefits of kettlebells, you want to find that weight that's appropriate for your fitness level at that time, so that you're really having to squeeze that handle and squeeze those abs and still breathe. But, but really every rep counts, you know?
Right. So you want to feel it in your core. You want to make sure that your core is being worked and tight, and you're not muscling up the.
You're right.
You know.
And not even, and if you have a heavy enough weight, you'll do that automatically. You know,
Okay.
It's too light, you can kind of get away with just, I'm doing these squats. But if you have a heavy enough weight that's kind of pulling you to the side, for me, the 20 kilo does that. It's like, this is pretty heavy. It's God. Oh, I'm going to show it, you know, and you really have to bear down with every rep when you kind of go into that lower squat and it's trying to pull your shoulder forward. You have to keep it. So you can't just rely on, like you said, your extremity strength. So
that's a good way to assess what weight you would need then, right? Maybe try a 1-arm kettlebell squat and just see. Like I would think that's interesting. I haven't done that, and so most of the time it's the 2-arm kettlebell swing that we do in the gym, you know. But yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, the unilateral training, just the one-sided with the kettlebell is great. And then it helps out your other side. There's studies just showing that it does help out the other side.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I've been using that premise for my leg. I was trying to rehab my knee, and every time I did something even remotely fun, like cross-country ski or ride a bike, like I was falling in love with the assault bike, but it just was too much on the knee. I just think that when the guy went in there, he did a great job, but he did lots of like cutting cartilage. And so I think I pushed a little bit too hard right after, because I was in the best shape of my life. I was ready to film that 4th video. And so I was like, I think I have to keep myself in good shape. What can I do? And it just, I think I irritated the heck out of the knee. So I gave the leg a rest for almost 2 months. I basically just walked around on it, but I worked really hard on the left leg, just doing unilateral movements and exercises like lots of pistols on that left leg and lots of Bulgarian squats, and did lots of hip thrusters, things I wouldn't normally do. Lots of even Romanian deadlifts, loading up that right knee were enough to make it mad. So even hamstring curls, I had to do those with one leg. So, oh man, I'll tell you, it's tough for a person like me. Getting to the point, it maintained most of the muscle mass in my right leg. Like it's not, like I've seen people in the clinic that have had the same sort of thing, and their quad just
atrophies. Yeah.
And mine's like not as quite as toned as I'd like it to be, but I still have that mass. You can still see my quadriceps. So I know now that I'm training again, that'll come back. And I would visualize, you know, I'd visualize doing leg extensions with this right leg and doing pistols with it. And they say that helps too. So I'm not sure how good I am at visualizing. I think I did on that left leg actually did translate over, and fortunately the left leg held in there. Like there were some times where I'm like, geez, this left knee is in really good shape because I'm doing tons of pistols and loading it up really well, and it's not.
So how have you maintained kind of your longevity as you've had this career of doing kettlebells like this? What type of adjuncts do you do, or stretching, or just routines that you add to this to stay long with your longevity?
Thank you for that question. That's a great question, because that's kind of my next passion project. After I do the 4th video, well, actually, I'm kind of currently doing that right now, and I feel like it works for me, and I feel like it would work for anybody. Like I really feel like I'm like a really normal person, like who was able to build myself up to the point where I could do something that I never thought I'd be able to do. And kettlebells sort of allowed me to do that. So I think what helps me with my longevity really is the compound lifts, you know, squats, deadlifts, bench press, pull-ups, military press, all these old fashioned exercises. and I think a lot of this stuff came about by accident, and I'm a passionate reader about this kind of thing. Like I try to read self-help books, and I know they're good, but I end up going back to T Nation or whatever these places are that write these articles. I love it. I still buy Men's Health and Muscle and Fitness because, there might be a tidbit in there that's really, wow, I never knew that, so I still love it. And, but every time I think, how am I doing the right thing? I always go back to those heavy weights again. And I just think, and I like doing yoga. My wife's a yoga instructor. I love all that kind of stuff. But I think if I had to choose, I'd choose heavy lifting. For me, like, it's all relative, right? My heavy lifting, probably not that heavy. And kettlebell training and some form of longer sustained cardio, preferably running. To me, that's like the perfect triad. And then everything else is kind of a bonus. Like I love yoga. I like Bikram. I like all kinds of yoga. But when I leave, like, let's say like a full body heavy session, I feel like I've stretched out my adductors with the squats, and I've stretched out my chest. And when I do bench press, I really make sure I stretch out my chest. And when I do pull-ups, I make sure I stretch out my lats. And I feel like I'm really stretched out. And I feel like when I go and do a yoga class, I'm capable of doing a lot of the things okay, because mostly because of these heavy compound lifts combined with the kettlebells.
Yeah, I agree. I think the compound lifts are incredible for helping potentiate, like, definitely the yoga class. I think that's a great foundation. I think most people are missing the kettlebells, though, in that triad you're talking about, and I would say including myself, you can get a great workout with it. And the other thing I love about kettlebells, you take, if you're going on a road trip, you can take, it's very easy to take one of those with you, or you can't take the squat rack or the bench press with you as easily. So,
well, and the thing with the kettlebells, that's the trick, I think, is with any sort of exercise, you want to get yourself to that point of fatigue where I have to adapt to this now. Like,
right.
So like the first video is one of those things. I just don't think it's feasible to do that all the time. I mean, unless that's all you do. You get boring after a while. So I wanted to use that as an adjunct to what people like to do. A lot of people like doing jiu-jitsu that get my videos, and a lot of people like doing triathlons. And I think it's all good. So that's why I can't wait to do this fourth video, because I feel like I found some mini routines that fatigue you super fast. And that's why I like the double kettlebell. That's why I really wanted to I was very passionate about doing the double kettlebell stuff, because suddenly I don't have an hour. I don't want to do that whole workout, but I have 20 minutes. And like that first day on video 3 is 19 minutes of running time. And it's very challenging.
So can you talk a little bit about your videos? I've only done and have the first one. So what are the other 2 and 3 like, or where do you recommend someone even starts? One thing I definitely like about them, though, before I give you the opportunity to speak, is I like the first one is it's made for people who can do kettlebells. Like, there's not really instruction. It's a hard kettlebell workout, and that's just what the DVD is. It's not like most of them are maybe 10 minutes up front of teaching you the swing and so on and so forth. This is just a really good workout. So are the others similar in that regard?
Yeah. And so, and I don't think kettlebell movements are that complicated. So I wouldn't tell somebody, oh, you'll be fine. Just here's the video and just, you'll figure it out. Like, I tried to learn how to do kettlebells from a video when I started.
Yeah.
And my low back.
Yeah.
It'll never be the same again. No, it wasn't.
Well, that's, I mean, a lot of people don't know. I mean, you're going to hit your low back. You're going to strengthen your low back, but you should know what you're doing to some extent.
Yeah, exactly. When I got to the course in 2002, I think it was the second course Dragon Door did. So it was like back in the early days, and like Pavel was there and Steve
Wow.
Maxwell, everyone there was there, you know, and
Yeah.
it was, and I don't think at the time I realized how fortunate I was. I do now. I remember at the time being so amazed that like this guy that I saw on the video, because I had a VHS tape of like the Russian Kettlebell challenge. It was just an instruction. It was basically Pavel showing that he didn't actually instruct. He's just like, here's you know, but it must have been 100-pound kettlebell. He's doing like windmills with it, and he's just ripped. And I'm like, he's right there, and he's like a nice guy, and he's just like you and me, except he's just and oh God, sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. But,
No, just taking us through the DVDs, but I can tell you that right now I'm having the same damn experience. So yeah, I'm glad you passed on the torch to me. So this is awesome. But tell us about the DVDs and how the second and third one are compared to the first one, and just where people should start.
Yeah, the second one is it's the same thing. It's not instructional. You need to know what you're doing, and it's a little bit meant to go a little heavier because I've made the rep count a little bit shorter, or like more 5 reps range. So I wanted to make something that was hard. I wanted the sets to be as long so you can bring your heart rate up, but I wanted to make it different than the first video. And fortunately, by then I taught enough classes that I had. Basically, with the videos, I just put my favorite routines on the videos. And there's only so many different ways to recycle routines and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the second video I was a little bit under pressure because people are like, I need a second video. And it's probably like a musician who their first album is just a classic. It's amazing. The second one is never quite as, sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not quite as good.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that about the second video, but like the first video is, to me, my first love. Like that's my greatest hits. Second video it's hard. Like I think I've done that whole thing in one setting, maybe twice. I just don't.
Wow.
It wasn't meant for that. It's more, I think I've got on my website a way, my favorite way to do that video. There's a few chapters in there that are more, you know, well, I was working with Dragon Door at the time, and they said, oh, Keith, it would be really cool if you had a warm up for your video. Okay. So I put a warm up in. It'd be good if you had like a little bit of instruction. So I kind of put in sort of an instructional, like a super brief instructional part. So it's a very complete video, and it's actually quite hilarious because the beach I filmed it on, I had to wait. I couldn't hide anywhere. The first video I walked about 5 kilometers down a beach with this thing in my backpack, and my family's following me. We're trying to, and this one, it was a beautiful, beautiful beach, but there's lots of people around. So there's lots of scenery and going back and forth. Right. It's priceless. It's actually, and I wasn't going to do it. I was like, once I saw it, I'm like, oh man, there's all these people in here. And there were like crowds of people around me watching this. And I'm like, get out of here. Leave me alone. Because I'm doing this video and it's hard and it's like getting hot. Like I like to do it in the morning. And it was so stressful. I remember one guy who has my first video, and him and his wife do them all the time. He goes, you seemed a little bit off in that video, Keith. Like you weren't really lucky. And I'm like, I was trying to be, but I was like kind of pissed off a little bit because these people are here and they're walking behind me. And like there were so many times someone would walk up in the middle of filming and they'd be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, it's not like we had a professional camera crew. So I'm like, honey. So anyway, my wife, she's such a trooper. She had like tons of sandfly bites all over her body because she was sort of off in the bush, so it would stay shaded. So she looked like she had leprosy on both legs, and she's like such a both her and my son. But
well, we thank them both for their contributions to the video. Thank God.
Yeah, you can't do it by yourself. Like you need a support crew. So, and then the third video, so the second one was in Roatan. So beautiful beach. And we were just in Honduras on vacation, and we took the ferry over to Roatan. And the reason we went to Honduras was because we heard about this orphanage that was there. And my wife thought, wouldn't that be fun to like go to the orphanage and bring hockey bags full of clothes and see a different country. And then I'm like, geez, that would be fun, you know, and then we could film a video. So we kind of did a whole bunch of things at once. And then the third one, we always go to the same place in Costa Rica. And I kind of got the idea for the kettlebell complexes from Dan John, because I love Dan John. I mean, I love that guy. I've met him a few times at kettlebell courses, and he knows so much about everything, but he's so humble.
Yeah.
And I love reading his stuff because he's very, I don't know, he's just very basic and I agree with a lot of things he says. But I thought, you know, he advises doing kettlebell complexes with a barbell. And so I tried this and I'm like, God, it's awkward, you know, and I can't use as much weight as I'm capable of because my Olympic lifting technique's terrible. And, but I can do this same thing with with 2 kettlebells. And I feel like I'm getting more out of it because I've got these kettlebells trying to pull my arms apart, keeping them in. And and they're more portable. I don't have an Olympic bar. And then I wouldn't say I stole any of his routines, but I got some really good ideas for his routines. Cause like, I think it's part of a complex. I don't think good mornings right after you've done a bunch of front squats or thrusters are that beneficial because they're not very cardiovascular. So I think good mornings are probably a fine exercise, but for like a kettlebell workout, I want to keep the heart rate up there. So I don't want to do anything that's going to slow it down too much or something that's harmful because I mean, if your back's already tired. So so the third one, I just came up with my favorite double kettlebell routines that I'd beaten. And I worked on that for about 2 years, like just practicing the 2 kettlebells. And the original video, if I would have gone with it right away, would have been really boring because I was basically doing like clean front squat, clean front. Like I had these 2 routines I would go back and forth with, but I got into great shape with it. And it really translated well to everything else I was doing. And it actually put on a little bit of mass. Like I'm not a very, if I don't work out all the time, like my body, it's like, oh, cool. Like it'll just like the muscle will vanish. And so I need to keep reminding it, no, we have to stay strong. So so that's the other thing I love about kettlebells. It's a convenient way to at least maintain, you know, that look that, hey, that guy is really fit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when I first started doing them, and your DVD was like one of the first things I was really, really learning from after getting the technique down and all that kind of stuff, after the introductory stuff, just learning how I took this to the classes I taught, of just learning how you were able to use the kettlebell to give you breaks, but you're still working very hard in the middle of that. So you may do, thrusters on one side and then you just switch to something completely different that's still very taxing, keeping the heart rate up, but you're able to do it. You find that second breath that you're able to get with kettlebell training, and your videos do a great job of showing that.
Yeah, I love that. That is one that you hit the nail right on the head with that one. Like to find a type of exercise that brings you to that limit where you're like, okay, I'm getting really tired, but oh man, maybe if I switch sides, I can do a few more. Let's try.
Right.
Oh God, I can keep going. Like, and I remember that was sort of one of the things that drew me to them in the first place was Pavel would always say, with a lot of the kettlebell training, you will wish your heart would give out because you still have enough in your body, but you're like, God, I can keep going. I'm like, you have to admit to yourself that I'm not as tired as I'm tired, but I'm cardiovascularly tired.
Yeah.
Versus my arms too. That's why I like to switch back and forth, and because like a lot of these videos that you'll see, the guy's using a really heavy weight and structuring the exercise in such a way that your darn upper body gets tired before your heart does.
Yeah.
Like really go for that like elevated heart rate without having to do something not as fun as kettlebells. Like burpees are great, but I mean, if you do them too much, it's kind of like they're not much fun anymore, right? I like to do that. I've got my once a week burpee day. I like to do all these things. Like I think there's value to everything, but I try to keep it fresh. But at the same time, I think it's really important to get that heart rate up and down, up and down.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of your favorite kettlebell movements overall? If you just had to give, 5 movements that you were doing at any beach workout or something that's always included or just that you love.
I love Turkish get-ups.
Yeah.
I think that's another exercise where people are going too light. And I think that's why I like them. Because they're like they're kind of like the burpees of kettlebells, because everyone loves to hate them. And I don't know why. Then I realized I was teaching someone else's advanced class at our clinic, and I was, kind of watching them, because I thought, well, I'm going to watch what these people are doing, because I'm not familiar with them. And I'm like, so there's some of these ladies using like 8 kilograms for a Turkish get up, and they're
damn.
I'm like, why are you, and you can tell they're not even trying. Hand on them,
Yeah.
No wonder you hate them. They're not challenging. Like women, especially, if you go to any gym, they're the ones that are on the treadmills doing the interval training. They're doing the elliptical, and they're the ones I think kettlebells people would love. Most of the people that get my videos are guys, but they're really for women. Like I remember when I was on Joe Rogan's show, he said he's so funny. He took the piss out of me that whole show. But I was trying to explain to him that most of the people that do my classes are women, because they love that high intensity cardiovascular. I was going to go on to say, like, this is perfect for women because they don't like lifting weights. It's simple for them. They want to get that endorphin rush because they're probably mums and they're stressed out. And he was like, well, yeah, if they want to see you rip
your blonde hair.
I'm like, no, I didn't mean it that way. But then we moved on to another subject.
Yeah.
He was so funny. But so I love Turkish get-ups, but I think they should be heavy enough that every step of the way is like, okay, here we go. I'm on my hat. Oh my God, I can't believe it. All right. And meanwhile, my neck is straining. I'm like, holy. And then you can do 1 rep, maybe 2, and then you have to switch sides. And then you can actually get a decent cardiovascular workout with doing heavy get-ups. And that's kind of a warm-up for my 4th video.
Okay.
Because the 4th video will require a few more kettlebells than the other ones, right? The other ones are total minimalist. You just need 1 kettlebell or 2 kettlebells for the 3rd one of the same size. And that's the size you use for the whole video, because I've arranged the reps and everything to accommodate for that. But the 4th video, I'm like, you know what? There's enough people doing kettlebells now, and they're cheap enough that you might need 3 kettlebells to do this whole video. And because I've mixed up all the way I like to train, and I'm going to put on this video, and the way I maintain, and I actually look forward to training like this. And I'm one of those people that I like Bikram yoga. I don't mind doing the same 26 postures every time, because I know what's coming, and I know I can measure my progress a little bit easier. So, okay, Turkish get-ups, heavier. I'm going to admit it right now. I don't love swings, because there's far better ways to elevate your heart rate. And I like swings, but I don't like doing 200 swings in a row. You know what I mean? You want to have a weight that's heavy enough that when you've done 20 or 30 swings, you're huffing and puffing. And that's really hard to do, because you need to have been doing kettlebells long enough that your form is sound and you're not going to hurt your back. And have it's just, there's better ways, I think, to do cardio. So I like to do swings as a finisher. It's like, okay, I still have enough energy. And I really have to focus on tightening my core. But to do swings like over and over, there's so many classes that people just do tons of swings. They're just I don't feel like there's as much value in that movement. And that's what everyone learns. As soon as they learn, they associate kettlebell with swings. And it's
absolutely.
And then there's the swings where people go all the way over their head.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's too much time. Like, there's too much time to recover. Like, I want to do something that in 30 seconds I'm laying on the floor. So that's why.
What do you use over the swing then? Because I'm guilty of that, definitely, as a trainer. Oh, which one? I'm sorry. Thrusters. Yeah. Oh yeah, thrusters will kill you.
They're terrible. Right? Yeah. One kettlebell, because you're going down, it's pulling you off to the side. And you have to keep it there, and then oh my God, I'm tired. Oh, but let's try this side. Oh, geez, I can keep going. God, like this, So I like thrusters. So you like the 1-arm thrusters better than 2-arm? That seems like it'd be a lot worse. Yeah, 2-arm thrusters are just an awful experience.
Okay.
Those in my third video though.
Okay. Third video. All right. For an awful experience, check out his third video.
So hard. Oh, but it's doable. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not you don't have to be like a super athlete to do it. It's just you might have to start out with a lighter weight than you're
right.
used
Of course.
to. Like I use 16 kilos in that whole video, like 2 16-kilo bells.
Okay.
And I just arranged it so that, like, for me, like that tested me. I wore actually a heart rate monitor when I was testing it out before we went down there, and plus that's all I had access to. Like I just had this guy that had 2 16-kilogram kettlebells, and he was like, he lent them to me, and I'm like, okay, well that's, and I don't mind that weight. It's a pretty good weight for 2 kettlebells. Yeah. It's I was getting my heart rate up to 170, each time. So, so I thought, okay, I can't put a routine down unless it gets my heart rate up to a certain level, at least to like 80%.
Right.
Because then I'm being honest with myself. Okay, that's getting pretty high. So
one arm thrusters and 2 arm thrusters.
Another one is the squat kick.
Oh yeah.
What is that one? What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Like you won't see many people doing it, but basically it's like you've got the 1 arm kettlebell squat down, you come up and you kick with the opposite leg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's when I start dropping Keith F-bombs during the
on that exercise. All right, I have to try that exercise. I haven't done that. Okay.
It's so hard, and you can scale it depending on how tired you are. Like if you're really tired, you can kind of just do a low kick, and if you're feeling good, you can like get that knee up and try to kick as high as you can. But it's very, very taxing. Oh.
That sounds brutal. So it's a 1 arm squat, a regular squat. As you come up, you kick with the opposite leg, right? Okay. Yeah, I definitely will do that.
Measuring stick to see if the person's actually using a heavy enough kettlebell, because there will be sometimes when I'm teaching a new class and I'll see these big guys and they've got a kettlebell and they're coming up and they're doing a thruster at the same time they kick. Whoa. Here's a heavier kettlebell. This is, if you're using a heavy enough kettlebell, there is no thrusters involved. You're forcing your whole body to stay tight enough to keep your balance so you can kick. So it's, again, it keeps you honest.
That sounds like a great exercise. Wow. All right.
Yeah, and that one-sided loading is great just for the core and bracing. And
right.
At the beginning, we were talking about it transferring to other movements and giving you a lot of freedom of activity. And I think stuff like that is great. I mean, you're going to carry the groceries probably with 1 arm or something like that. And this is just giving you that freedom of activity for the rest of your life, and incorporating this type of training transfer to all those sorts of things.
Well, it's kind of it also works on your flexibility, like those repeated squats.
Overhead squats are killing my hips, just getting that hip flexibility.
Oh, overhead squats. That's the other one I was going to mention. And the thing with overhead squats is, I think a lot of people would, if they just elevated their heels a little bit, they'd be a lot happier with the movement. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of it is the ankle mobility that restricts people from doing them properly. And I have to admit, when I was doing the videos, I don't have the most flexible ankles in the world. So I would make my little overhead squat notches in the sand so that my heel was slightly elevated. Because a lot of people are like, how do you do the overhead squat so well? I'm like, to be honest, my heel lifted about that high. I did that on purpose, because otherwise it's especially when you're fatigued.
Yes.
I think you're not getting the benefit out of it. And if ankle mobility is the problem, well, take that out of the equation. Suddenly you're doing a perfect overhead squat. You're not worried about hurting your back. And it takes that. And the wide stance, I think that's very important too. It's almost like a sumo squat to be done properly, I think. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you learn from Pavel and some of the others, but Pavel really teaches that Hardstyle of kettlebell training. Is that something you incorporate, or how do you kind of teach people to feel and breathe and move with the exercise, if that makes sense?
I tend to be kind of Hardstyle-ish. I'm not going to expect a person to power breathe on every rep. Like, I've been to some courses where it sounds like a bunch of snakes. Everyone's like, they'll lift up a 10-pound kettlebell and be like, even Pavel, such a real person. At one point in the last seminar I did with him, he goes, "Comrades, okay, I can hear a lot of people power breathing, but you don't have to power breathe every time. It's for special occasions, like bigger lifts." Like, I think it was annoying him. He's like, it was like, and I'm like, he just said what I was thinking. Like, but I think I like the hardstyle in the sense that, again, if you're using a heavy enough kettlebell, you kind of have to do the hardstyle. You know, if I'm using like a really light kettlebell and it's just flopping off my wrist, but if I'm using, like, for me, the 20 kilo, it's like, if I don't snap my hips and like bring it in really quick and bear down on it, it's gonna, ow, that hurts. You know, like, I want to. The harder you are, the less that kettlebell hurts you, because your force is going back towards the kettlebell. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the hardstyle is basically just more or less maximum contraction at the top of the movement.
So I think that's a perfect way to put it. And again, Pavel, he clarified that as well, because, you know, in a lot of his books, he advises like that whole concept of irradiation. So let's say you're doing a bench press, you want to grip the bar as hard as you can. If you're doing a deadlift, but he did say, but he said, do it maybe 80%. Like, he says 100% maximal contraction. You're going to be so focused on contracting your glutes that you're going to actually weaken your bench press. Because a few people, they were showing them the military press, and they actually got weaker when they did the hard style, because they were tensing so hard that they took away. So that was so good. Like, those courses were so valuable, and just sort of clarifying things and making things more real and real life approachable. Because I think sometimes you'll read it in a magazine, you'll say, oh, okay, I'm going to contract as hard as I can every single time. And the nuances get lost. So
yeah, absolutely. So what happened to your knee, Keith? What did you do to it?
Wait a second, Bryan. I want to go. Let me just go through for our listeners. So the exercises, I just want to review this. So the first one you said was Turkish get-ups. And then what was the second one you said, Keith?
The thrusters.
Okay, thrusters. And then you said one arm squat with a kick, and then overhead squat, right?
Yeah.
And is there another one? Did you mention another one?
You know what? Oh, another one, I think, all-purpose movement for balance, strength, lunge thrusters.
Okay.
And there's a lot more lunges. There's lunges on my second video. That is one thing that sets it apart. There's lunges and ladders on the second video. So it's actually an excellent video. It's just hilarious. That's the only thing about it.
Can you describe what a lunge thruster is? I mean, I think I know what it is, but.
Okay, so it's similar to a squat thruster in the sense that the kettlebell, you start with the kettlebell at your shoulder. Then I like to step backwards with the opposite leg to the point, like step way backwards. So maybe my knee might lightly touch the floor. Okay. And then with all my force in my leg, I'll come up and I'll thrust as I stand back up and bring that right leg, for instance, to meet that left foot. Yeah. And then bring the kettlebell back down as I step back, get tight again, and blast it back up.
Got it. Okay.
The right weight. Wow. Like, that fatigues you in a hurry.
Yeah. No, these sound awesome. I've definitely got to put these in. I do classes also, and I use some kettlebell, but like I said, it's mostly like, you know, I'm not experienced with it. So a lot of times we just do the swings, but these sound incredible. So I want to start incorporating them in.
Well, and I'm going to get you guys the videos. I'll send you guys the videos.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, and then you can just steal the ideas off it and kind of like, oh, I like that, you know, and just.
Yeah.
I have been doing that for years. Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, it's just kettlebell training, right? It's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, yeah, I just want more people to do kettlebell training. I just think it's so beneficial. And the other thing with the any sort of a lunge with the kettlebell is it keeps your feet healthy. You know, that's something I didn't recognize until I didn't do lunges for a while, because I was focused on this double kettlebell video. So I was like, I better go back and do some other stuff here to round things out. And I was like, oh, wow. Like sometimes people's big toes get a little bit stiff. Hallux rigidus. Yeah. Common thing. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, that keeps the I didn't realize how beneficial that was for keeping the feet stretched out. And yeah, like for foot health, it's just such a good way to train.
Yeah, and since you mentioned that, we did like a Kettlebell 101 episode where I was talking about training with kettlebells, and basically I recommend that everyone does it barefoot. Do you have like a footwear choice, or are you doing things barefoot, or what do you usually recommend for people?
Yeah, like the floor that we have at the clinic is great. It's it's actually the interlocking mats for, you know, kids. So it's soft enough that there's a little bit of give, and you can like do Turkish get-ups and your knees and elbows don't hurt.
Yeah.
But hard enough that you're not unstable and you're like, it's not like you're on a Bosu ball or something like that. So, and it's cheap and it's easy to clean, and it's warm. Even if the room's cold, it feels warm. And you kettlebell on it, it doesn't matter. It's just, it doesn't break or shatter or anything like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Great stuff. It's Walmart, you know, like I think that's my favorite surface to work on with kettlebells, aside from sand. Sand is annoying because it's like shooting a cannon out of a canoe. You can't get a really stable foundation. You kind of have to dig yourself in. And,
yep.
But yeah, that's my favorite surface to work on with bare feet. Now,
Okay.
there's gyms where I've worked out with kettlebells, and they probably wouldn't love it if I took off my shoes. So I'd leave them on, and it actually makes it easier. Like, I have to say, way easier. Like having I usually wear those, like, whatever, not lifting shoes, but, you know, like the normal gym shoes that people use for CrossFit. And wow, like it's way easier with shoes. Like it takes at least 10% of the stress off, because your feet are just sitting there. Thank you. Like I've got this stable platform to work with. And so I think it might be beneficial once in a while to use shoes if you were trying to maybe go heavier, or you still get a good workout. But I mean, God, keeping the feet healthy, it's so important, right? Especially like with Chinese medicine, there's just so much stuff, and just stimulating the feet is so important from a health perspective, right? So I'm not really looking at kettlebells in terms of like pure performance. I just think they're a really good way to elevate your heart rate repeatedly while you're stretching your body and keeping everything healthy. But if you can like sneak little life hacks in there, like keeping your feet healthy at the same time, well, wow, why wouldn't you, right? It's then you don't have to do something for your feet, and then you don't have to do something for this, and it just sort of everything. So
that's what I love about them so much. They're just so multi-purpose. I have so much carryover to everything else. And what do you think of the flows kind of going around the internet these days, where everyone's kind of flinging together? So, you know, some of them are functional, some of them not so functional, these different kettlebell flows.
Yeah. I think they're kind of fun to watch. I mean, it's like, wow, that's kind of a good idea. I think they're okay. I think I think, again, like the way I personally like to train, and given like the amount of time I have to exercise and most people have to exercise, I prefer sort of the way I do it. Mm-hmm. And because I feel like with the flow, it's the flow type routines, they're great, but they're not kicking my ass as hard as I've got an hour a day to kick my own ass. And I'm not going to do that with heavy weights, or I'm going to go for a hard run, or I'm going to do something. And I find the flows, they don't enable you to use a heavy enough weight to really get your heart rate. My goal is just to elevate that heart rate. So, but in terms of mobility and having fun and looking cool and keeping yourself mobile, I think they're great. I just, you know, if I had maybe when I honestly, I've tried a few routines and I'm like, that's pretty cool. You know, it's like, it's,
Yeah, I agree with you. But just to give an idea of how you feel like yours differs, how would you say yours differs? Because you said your training is a little bit different than a flow.
It's like, okay, for instance, say with the CrossFit routine, like people will use they stick with the basics, right? They'll do barbell snatches, clean and jerks. They'll do like bar muscle ups. They'll stick with the real basic, hardest movements they can, because they're trying to fatigue you as quickly as possible, which I know not everyone agrees with that concept of training. So that's what I try to do with the kettlebells. I try to, especially with my 4th video, I'm trying to cut out all the fluff. I got the best compliment from somebody when I've been testing out the 4th video on people. I was having this Wednesday morning class, and the only people that would show up were all these jiu-jitsu guys. And so I was like, well, I mean, let's try it out. Like, let's see what you guys think. And the one guy said, the thing I love about your routine is there's not one wasted rep. There's not one rep in that whole hour that was kind of like the hot potato. I think I do those. Like, it's a good recovery exercise, but like it can be, we could put that one to the side. If we had to give up the hot potato, we could do that. There's the what's that other one? The slingshot, where you bring it between your legs and coming up like this. Like that's an okay exercise, but it's not, there's better ways, right? Like, it's not. So the 4th video is going to be just like I like to just do the hardest thing possible as quickly as possible, so that I get my endorphin rush and I get my feeling of wellness as quickly as possible. It's like drinking tequila versus Miller Lite. Tequila, even like during the week, maybe on the weekend, that would be when I would want to do flows and things like that, when I have a little bit more time to play around with stuff and like not be so focused on getting my magic pill for the day. Because you'll see when you're a physio or any sort of like a wellness practitioner, like, you need to have your batteries charged. So when I open up the curtain and someone says, my shoulder hurts and can you look at my low back too? And I'm like, yes, I can. Lay down, let's get to work.
Yeah.
What do you look at me? Do you think I can do all that in one day? You know, like, so when I go to work, I want to feel like and I feel like the pharmaceuticals my own body provides are adequate to do that.
Yeah. So,
but in order to get there, I found that, you know, the way I do kettlebell training gets me there. Like, it's all very selfish. This is not, I invented that first video for myself. I thought, if no one likes this video, at least I've got something to follow along to. And I'll always be like, oh God, because sometimes I'll forget. I'll be like, oh, I forgot those body weight squats at the end of the leg burner. What the heck? Really? I'm tired enough, you know, but so
yeah, I need the hot potatoes to stay in the video. Oh God. By the time I make it to the hot potatoes, I'm like, okay.
Trust me, like, when I was doing those videos, like, I am dying. And the thing that really helped me was the fact I was at sea level. Like, we're not as high as Colorado here in Alberta, but we're up pretty high. And so constantly training this elevation gives you a little bit of an advantage that maybe a 10% advantage when you're at sea level. It's actually pretty phenomenal. It's pretty cool.
That's neat.
Yeah. It's amazing that you're instructing and doing the DVD right along with you the whole time. And I'm dying. I couldn't talk to someone if my life depended on it at that point.
Hey, when you guys are talking about flow though, are you talking about like one exercise into another? I mean, I've seen some crazy videos online where people are doing backflips with these things, you know, they're just not useful for the average person, you know? But is that what a flow is? It's just one exercise into the other, or what do you mean by flow?
Yeah, I think that's what Brian's referring to. Like, I think there's a couple different types of flows. So one is, I'll see, like, On It does a lot, where the guy, he'll do like, this is one of their favorites. They'll do like a clean, and then they'll do like a snatch, and then they'll do a squat. Then they'll put the kettlebell down. They'll do like something where they jump backwards, and then they shoot one leg out, and then they'll come back.
Yeah.
That is their favorite for sure. I know exactly what you're talking about.
and they'll do that for 5 rounds per side.
Okay.
Take a break, and they'll do that times 3. And I'm like, that's all right. You know, like, that's kind of cool. You know, like, but for me to be in that position and to do one clean, and then to do one snatch and one squat, I'm not getting tired enough. Like,
right. It's almost like you're giving yourself a break with each movement. Like,
exactly. Like,
yeah,
exactly. That's it. And like we've got stairs near my house, and for a while there, I was running. It takes about 30 seconds if you really hustle to get to the top of these stairs, and you are absolutely winded. And then, so for a while there, I was doing push-ups. I was trying to multitask, and I was doing push-ups at the top of the stairs. Then I'd run back down. And the time it took me, the time that I was allowed to recover doing the push-ups, took away from the actual workout that I was trying to get, which was to, again, elevate my heart rate. So now I'll do the push-ups later, and I'm just going to do these stairs. As soon as I get to the top, even if I'm going to fall over, I kind of hobble my way back down the stairs. And by the time I get to the bottom, I've recovered adequately. I can run back up, and oh man, like I'm way more taxed from that workout just because I've shortened that rest break a little bit.
Right.
But I think with that type of complex, again, it's a cool thing to do. If you do it at a park, you're getting a bit of a workout and you're getting some mobility work. It's fantastic. But to me, it's almost like doing a half a yoga class compared to Bikram.
Yeah.
When I go to half the class, I'm like, that was good. Like it was good energy, and I felt like, but I still got to work out today. Whereas a Bikram, sometimes if I really push myself in that class, I'm like, okay, wow, I got my fix. Like that was crazy. And that's just how I personally like to train. It's that yin yang, right? Like the rest of my life is pretty sedate. Like, I mean, I'm kind of just working on people all day and being a dad. But so when I train, I want it to be the absolute opposite of what I'm doing. And having said that, you do have to temper that with being sensible. So like sometimes you might have to get a lighter kettlebell or that's why I like to have different ways of exercising, because if all I did was kettlebells, I'd be like, I wouldn't get bored, but I wouldn't like them as much.
Mm-hmm.
I like to mix everything up. So I'm probably not really good at anything. I'm okay at things, but I'm not really awesome at anything. And I mean, but I'm okay with that because I probably wouldn't be anyway. I'm just not, I don't have any gifts, you know? And then there's the other kind of flow that I saw this guy. He had this kettlebell and he looked like a pretty big, strong dude. And he kind of did this like loopy thing. And then he kind of looped back and did a windmill. And then he looped back and did something else. And I'm like, okay, like that's cool. It looks really cool. But the kettlebell he's using is so light in order to do these sequential movements that they're not really, I mean, I guess he's stretching.
Yeah.
But like I find the best way to do things. Because to me, we only have a certain amount of time to exercise. So if I'm going to take my time, take that window out of my day where I'm going to exercise, I want it to be super beneficial. And I want it to get the goals I want.
Right. And
my goals might not be the same as everyone else's. I know some people maybe just exercise for the sake of wellness or whatever. And like people, and that's wonderful. But I think there's a huge proportion of the population that if you give them something really challenging and they get the taste of that fix, that true endorphin rush you get when you've like worked yourself, you really know that you've been honest with yourself and you didn't like cut the set short. It's addictive. It's like, wow, like I really tapped into something primal.
And it doesn't take that much time if you're doing these movements, right? So, and that's the thing I have in my classes and with my clients is that's the main excuse. Well, that's the main excuse for everybody. I don't have enough time to exercise. Well, with this, if you do it right, I mean, you're going to get a whole lot of quality out of your workout, and you don't have to be there for hour on hour doing all these things. I mean, I agree. Like you said, a lot of these things look great on YouTube and look really cool to see, but are you getting the maximum benefit out of it?
And then teaching them, I agree with the majority of everything you said with just overall how I look at flows, and I definitely think they're useful. But when I'm trying to teach someone a flow, and you're exhausted, and you get to the point where they're forgetting the next exercise, or I do this after this or this after this, and it's just more mental gymnastics than it's worth almost.
Right.
It reminds me of my niece, who's just a wonderful girl. And she was having like a lot of girls, she's having a heck of a time kind of getting the physique she wanted. And she was doing kickboxing classes. And so I went to a kickboxing class with her, which was like, it was actually a lot of fun. Like, and these women I wouldn't want to mess with these women. Like the way they in that bag, they were getting something, but it was cool, right? And it was an hour-long class, and I worked up a sweat, and it was fun, enjoyable. But again, at the end of that hour, because my primary mode of resistance was my own body weight, I just didn't get that fix. I didn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't hard enough. It was hard, and I really worked as hard as I could, but I didn't have that external load that took my body to that next level where it's like, oh God, what do you got on here? Like, geez, you know? And so I keep coming back to the kettlebell because it just provides so many benefits that I want. And I think most people need, like, I think to be really healthy, if you look at people that really look and feel like that optimal health, I just feel like that resistance is such an important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I got to ask you, Keith, what was it like to be on the Joe Rogan podcast?
Amazing. Like, just the whole process of like actually messaging Joe Rogan on Twitter. Like, that's how we communicated the whole time, Twitter messaging. And I'm like, this is actually Joe Rogan. So,
that's cool.
Podcast. So then we went to Venice and stayed in Venice, and then he had this big, like one of those big SUVs that rappers like to drive, like a Ford Excursion or something like that, or a Suburban. Tinted windows. This Russian guy comes out and, are you Keith? And so I get in, and we drove to this industrial park, like one of those business parks where it's like a nondescript, I don't know, it's a normal looking business park. And he goes, oh, you know, Joe should be here any minute. And sure enough, this beautiful BMW convertible. And I'm like, that's gotta be him. And I was so nervous. How do I dress? You know, like I had like my rock t-shirt on, which I should have worn because I know, and I thought, well, but I want to look presentable, and Joe Rogan, like, that's really Joe Rogan. Oh my God, you know, it's like, it was amazing. And like, just, he is such an intelligent person. And the neat thing is when he's off camera, he's just a normal guy. He's like, oh yeah, I was at my kid's school meeting this morning, and you want a coffee? And then as soon as his studio guy says, okay, boom, we're on. As soon as he hits that button, boom, Joe Rogan appears. Like, he gets in, and he's not acting. Like, that's how he really is. But he becomes Joe Rogan plus 50. You know, like, boom, like, and he is so sharp. And so it was actually a fun podcast to do, and I'm glad he did it the way he did it. Like, and that was back before I'd done any I didn't even know what podcasts were. Like, that was in 2014.
Yeah.
So I'd listened to some of his podcasts, obviously, and I like, he kind of bugged me throughout. He kind of challenged me throughout, and he's like,
he did.
The thing about the bananas. He's like, I don't know about that. And I'm glad he did. Made for a way more interesting experience for the listener, I think, because if he would have been like really nice to me and
right,
like, oh God, this is boring. So and I had to kind of back up what I was saying. So I was like, okay, this is good. It was just, I wasn't prepared for it, but I got prepared. Like, about an hour into it, I'm like, okay, I get where this is going. So that was such an amazing opportunity, you know. And for him, like, I don't think it really gives him any financial benefit or any, he just liked the videos. Like, he's that kind of guy. If he likes something, he'll vouch for it.
Yeah.
Just because it's good. And I just can't thank him enough, because there's so many people that discovered my videos that never would have. And hopefully they've improved their health because of it. So.
Yeah. And I'm absolutely one of them. And I mean, I told you before the show, but it was incredible. In 2014, I was watching it while you were on, and that just seems so long ago. So this is just so surreal to me. This is awesome. This is where I meet Pavel and start shaking and just so excited. And I'm ready to hiss with you and sound like a bunch of snakes together.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, and that's why I think, like, I feel like I'm just a normal guy. And I mean, we're all normal in our own way, but like, I really feel like I can relate to the average person, because I see some of these guys on Instagram that are amazing athletes. Like, there's one guy that I think my wife has a crush on this guy. I like him. I think he's got some Alignable podcast or something. The guy's ripped, and I think he must have been a gymnast when he grew up, because he's doing like handstand push-ups, and he's spreading his legs and bringing back, and he's just ripped. And I'm like, and he said, "Oh, look at this guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to look at that guy. You know, like, whereas I'm just like some guy that just like, I've got like an average skill set, and so I try to form my videos around something that everybody can do. Like, there's no excuse at all to be able to do this. There's nothing really hard. I mean, in terms of like skill level, I think it's all very learnable very quickly. So that's why again, the fourth video is going to be so awesome, because it is something that you can basically have a bit of a rudimentary knowledge of kettlebells, and it's fun because it's got a whole bunch of different elements to it. And
that's awesome.
I want it to be the foundational workout for people that love to do kettlebells. So if they want to do a flow,
that's great.
If they want to do this or that, they've got this foundation, and it's like a twice a week thing. So
when can we look forward to that being released?
Well, once my knee's getting better.
And what did you do to it?
Oh yeah, I long short, hurt it playing hockey when I was 20. Got the cartilage sewn back in. The lateral meniscus tore and got locked, so my leg was like 90 degrees. And
wow.
My friends drove me to the hospital, and I'm like, yeah, I can't straighten my leg, you know. And I was in the physio then. I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, it's really, you know. And so the doctor came in and goes, oh wow, okay, we better, you know. So he fortunately fixed it. And then 2015, right before I filmed my third video, I was surfing, and the waves were big, and I got squished between a wave. My knee got sort of squished between a wave as I was getting up on the board, and it hyperflexed my knee. And I heard something pop, and I'm like, and it didn't really hurt that much. I'm like, oh, that was kind of scary. But I had to do that third video. So when you see the third video, I do pistols in it. And when I do pistols with the right knee, you can see I'm like really shaky. And I don't think I had an ACL. I think I popped my ACL. So then the cartilage tore out because I kept doing triathlons and things and running. And eventually it stopped me. Eventually the knee got sore enough where I'm like, okay, I'm going to like cut back on running for a while and find out what the heck's going on here. And then I got out of bed too fast on December 1st, and it locked into that 90 degrees again. I'm like, oh, okay, that meniscus must have, right. So then I waited till the morning, and my son gave me a ride to the hospital, and I hopped into the emergency room again, grabbed a wheelchair. I said, I can't straighten my knee. So this time they took the cartilage out, and this was like a long time after the original injury. So I think he got in there and kind of cleaned it up a little bit, and took a bunch of pictures when he was in there. And I think I just maybe pushed it too hard after I had the surgery. I maybe should have taken it easy, but you know, cartilage is different than muscle in the sense that it'll let you do stuff, but after, oh boy, it'll tell you. But during, I'm like, okay, I was doing this assault bike, and I'm like, this feels pretty good. Okay, this must be fine. Then the next day I was like, oh my God, my leg's like the size of a watermelon. So I'm like, okay, I better not do that anymore. Like, it's been quite the process being injured. I've never been this this injured for this long before, and it's yeah, I mean, it's been a real godsend, honestly. Like, it's really made me rethink how I was living, you know. And it's in terms of I was definitely using exercise as my medication and my go-to. If I had a bad night of eating, it'd be like, it's okay, I'll just do kettlebells for a little bit extra, or I'll punish myself really hard the next day. And that took away my ability to do that. Because it's hard to get cardio in with one. Like, even swimming, I would go to the pool and I'd like kick back and forth. And again, my knee didn't like that. So I had to kind of like, okay, wow. Like, I really have to look at how am I eating and what am I using food for? And so I stopped using food quite as much as a recreational thing. And it was more, got my diet cleaned up a little bit. And it's made me a better therapist, because when people come in, they're like, oh, my knee's sore. I'm thinking, wow, yeah, like, I know where you're coming from. I totally do. And
yeah,
and I did before. Like, I think I had some empathy before, but now I'm like, it's just, I'm trying to
understanding
on it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're feeling a little bit down, it's easy to get miserable and why me? But then, you know, you'll hear about a friend having cancer, or, you know, like it's like, okay, or even like the people I meet every day that come into the clinic, I'm like, wow, like, you are, like I have nothing to complain about. So
Yeah. So it's delaying the fourth video a little bit, huh?
Yeah, it's you know what? I'm hoping the fall. I should be ready to do it by the fall. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm doing these YouTube videos.
Okay.
And show people how I really train, because I've had a few friends that said, like, Keith, I'd really like to know how do you really train? Like, do you just do kettlebells all the time? Do you do some weights? And so my YouTube video is going to be sort of, and I'm not saying it's the best way, but for me, again, it feels the best. And so with the weights, with the compound movements, if I was to follow the protocol, like you're supposed to take a 3 to 5 minute break if you're lifting heavy. That's so boring. God, I don't want to sit around for that long. But why can't I do bench press and then go over here and do some squats and then go over here and do something else that doesn't interfere with that? Kind of do it the same way as I do kettlebells, and then just do circuits.
Right.
And,
yeah.
Well, because I'm in Good Life, and this guy's wondering, why am I over here? I have to put a towel on the machine. So it's perfect for people that like to work out at home. And I think a lot of people that do the kettlebells do like to work out at home. So I'm kind of aiming towards that market of people that maybe don't lift weights because they don't want to go to the gym, but they don't want to like get a home gym. So if they have a barbell and maybe a couple barbells and some kettlebells, they can like shore up those things that maybe kettlebells leave out. Like, I think there's a lot of value to having, a decent bench press. I think there's a lot of value to being able to really pull a heavy weight off the floor safely, because it carries over to being better at kettlebells. Then you can get your heart rate up higher and get your fix. So that's what I'm doing right now. It's just our house is being renovated, so I'm trying to figure out where to do it that doesn't look super bad, because right now I've put a couple videos up on my channel, and there's like that drywall poly, like that plastic hanging down. It doesn't look very good. So I'm trying to figure out where to do this. So,
well, where can people find you online?
Okay, well, probably the easiest way is Instagram, because, and I Kettlebell Keith. Hey, it just worked. I've got my Weber Physio account where I put stuff about physio and that, but my Kettlebell Keith account is more my fun account, where I'll put up pictures of, like, when I work out with my son and his buddies, we'll take the shirtless selfies, and I'll put up stuff that's more pertaining to kettlebells and kettlebell training. The link to getting my kettlebells is on my bio. So
okay,
that's probably the easiest way. And then on YouTube, I'm the Keith Weber. Someone had already taken Keith Weber, so I'm not saying I'm the Keith Weber, but
but you are.
Yeah, you are indeed.
Gmail let me have that account. So Keith Weber. But I think if you just type in Keith Weber Kettlebells, my account will come up.
Awesome.
And it's got all the instructions, really brief instructions on how to do all the exercises on the first video. Because if you can do the exercises on the first video, you can do the exercises on the other videos, really.
So start with the first video.
Yeah, I like this video. And then I might have to put up some double kettlebell stuff, just because people will be like, is it the same? Because it's slightly different. So I just want to be able to provide, even if people don't like my videos, at least if people are kind of, not saying the way I do kettlebells is the right way, but I feel like it kind of is, because and I think that's the way Pavel still does it. I've been criticized with, oh, you're bending your knees too much with the swing. Well, that's the way Pavel does it. And, he's awesome. So, so that's the easiest way to find me.
Awesome. And we'll include that in the show notes. Yeah, I feel like kettlebells almost are turned into like political factions, where it's like how you're supposed to do your swing or not, and we're not really communicating and figuring out that there's a middle that works for everyone. Right.
And that's kind of why I want to put those instructional videos on YouTube, because whenever I've done kettlebell courses, like, people are very, they call it the martial arts of weight training. It's not even closely in the same ballpark as martial arts. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that complicated. You can make it complicated.
Right.
People do that, but a lot of people, they don't want complicated. They just want effectiveness, and they just something that they do right away. And they But then there are people that want to study the Turkish get up and do it with half a glass of water.
Yeah.
Focus on the movement and the flow of energy. And I'm like, I just want to get my fix, and at the same time accidentally do a ton of benefits for my body, and I'm in it for longevity, all these different things, and keep it fun, right? So I don't get bored.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any more questions or anything else?
Just for our listeners. So Kettlebell Keith on Instagram, spell out kettlebell, right? And it's Keith, Keith. So Kettlebell Keith. And from there, I guess they could find you anywhere, I guess, from the Instagram account. Anyway, Keith, this is incredible. I mean, I love, thanks for the 5 exercise things. So Turkish get-ups, thrusters, one arm squat with a kick, overhead squat, lunge, thruster, step back. Definitely going to start incorporating those in my own workouts and in my classes that I run.
Great.
So
absolutely. Anything we left off, Keith? Something you really wanted? Anything we didn't discuss?
I think we covered everything. I mean, I just you guys let me ramble on. I just love talking about this stuff so much, and it's not something you can talk about to everybody, right? Not enough people do kettlebells. Not enough people have passion for exercise and wellness like we do. So when I do talk to people, like-minded people, I tend to ramble on. I just get so excited about this sort of stuff. I always go on to these podcasts. I'm like, okay, I'm going to act really cool and really start talking about kettlebells. I'm like, I can't.
Well, Keith, you can do no wrong with us, man. You're like definitely Bryan's hero. Now you're fast becoming mine. Now that I was introduced to you, I'm going to start using these. Everybody, check out Keith Weber, Kettlebell Keith on Instagram. From there, and get his DVDs. And I look forward to doing some of your workouts.
Yeah, I'm going to get those sent to you today. I've got to go to the post office.
Thanks, man.
Do you guys still have DVD players?
Yeah, I do.
Good. I mean, I don't think there's any protection on the videos. Like if a person wants to strip those videos and put them onto your computer or whatever, I've made enough money from the videos. I never made them in the first place to make money, so people can do whatever they want with them. But I will say that if you do get the digital download from my website, it's beautiful quality. And what oftentimes I'll do is I'll just have my AirPods on and I'll have my phone nearby, and I'll go out and park in the summer and I'll listen to my video and I'll be like, okay, what are we doing now? 10. Oh, right. We're doing 10 overhead squats. Jesus. So I'm not actually watching the video, but I'm listening to it, and it's almost as good. And it's just
cool.
like keep pace with the video. So, but yeah, like that's the best way to do it. But
yeah, probably the most convenient way for probably most people. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for passing the torch and turning me into just an excited and rambling kettlebell monster as well sometimes. So from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate just passing kettlebells on to me. I'm super excited.
Oh,
so thanks for coming on, Keith. We really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Bryan, Keone. Yeah, I just appreciate chatting with you guys. I had a blast.
Yeah, us too. And we'll keep in touch.
Please. Yes.
All right. Thanks, Keith. You take care.
Thanks,
Be
guys.
well, everyone.
Addresses, and we'll get those videos to you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.